Hello and welcome to Eye on Africa here on France 24. I'm Clarisse Fortuné. Our top stories. The African National Congress says it remains committed to South Africa's multi-party government after the Democratic Alliance voted against the budget and went to court to try to block it. Last day of US envoy's African tour, Massad Boulos, Donald Trump's special advisor for Africa, stopped in Rwanda to discuss economic cooperation and ways to push forward peace in the region. A mobile classroom traveling across Benin to promote digital education. For many primary school students, computer literacy remains a luxury. But we start with South African politics. The African National Congress says it remains committed to its coalition with the Democratic Alliance. The relationship between the two parties had been on shaky ground after the DA voted against the national budget that was passed last week. The DA challenged the vote in court before deciding whether or not to remain in what South Africans call a government of national unity. Florent Marchais has the story.
South Africa's largest political party, the African National Congress, is in a tricky situation. Its parliamentary coalition partner, the Democratic Alliance, voted against the country's annual budget plan last week. The ANC, which had dominated South African politics since the end of apartheid, lost its governing majority in national elections last year. It formed a coalition with the pro-business DA party, which has held steady till now.
Instead of the budget being amended to address the needs of struggling South Africans, the budget has been passed by the National Assembly with VAT hikes to make life more expensive for South Africans.
Last week, the Democratic Alliance challenged the national budget in a high court, saying it was approved despite procedural irregularities. For its part, the ANC responded with exasperation and disappointment.
We are now deeply concerned by the conduct of the Democratic Alliance, whose participation in the GNU has been marred by double-dealing, negotiating and acting in bad faith and open disdain for transformation.
Despite the bad blood with the DA, the ANC's Secretary General said his party remained committed to South Africa's government of national unity.
The Working Committee resolved that we will reset the button to engage with all political parties in the GNU, as well as those who are not in the GNU, to address the impasse with regard to the budget.
The prospect of the DA's exit is keeping South Africa on edge. The budget row between the historically heavyweight ANC party and the pro-free market Democratic Alliance could be a major test for the survival of their coalition.
They had been on death row for participating in a botched coup attempt in DR Congo last year. But after their death sentences were commuted last week to life imprisonment, 3 Americans were repatriated to the United States, where they will serve their sentences. The 3 were accused of leading an attack on both the presidential palace and the home of an ally of President Felix Tshisekedi last May. The overturning of the sentences came ahead of the U.S. Senior Advisor for Africa, Massad Boulos' visit to DRC. And Donald Trump's special advisor for Africa also stopped in Kigali, where he met with Rwandan President Paul Kagame to discuss economic cooperation and ways to push forward peace in the region. Juliette Montili reports from Kigali.
The newly appointed White House advisor for Africa opened a press conference with a tribute to the victims of the 1994 Tutsi genocide, as memorial events officially began yesterday in Rwanda. He then moved on to his meeting with President Paul Kagame, during which the two discussed deepening their partnership with a particular focus on the economy.
There are many American companies already invested in Rwanda. The government of Rwanda has a vision of being an economic leader and has a society ready to drive this vision forward. We are ready to work with Rwanda to achieve this goal, which is why finding a resolution to the conflict in Eastern DRC is so essential as it will unlock the region's untapped potential.
Boulos made clear that sustainable peace in the region is a key condition for long-term economic growth. He emphasized the commitment of both the United States and President Trump to that objective and said President Kagame had pledged to contribute to bringing more stability to the region. He didn't share further details about their conversation. This meeting in Kigali follows a broader regional tour with previous stops in Uganda, Kenya and DRC, where Massad Boulos met with Congolese President Félix Tshisekedi. Talks focused on possible partnerships in the mining sector in exchange for potential US security support.
South Sudan have chosen the path of appeasement after a diplomatic row with the United States. The government now says it will accept a Congolese man who was mistakenly deported to Juba under a false name that sparked a visa ban from Washington. US officials had accused South Sudan of refusing to take back its deported nationals, but now Juba says it's cooperating and working to verify the identities of 23 others set for deportation. It all comes as tensions grow at home, threatening South Sudan's already fragile peace deal. In Ethiopia, a major shift in Tigray's leadership aims to ease rising tensions in the region. Former UN commander Tadesse Verede was appointed head of Tigray's interim administration, replacing Getachew Reda amid a deepening power struggle within the Tigrayan leadership. The move is seen as a step to stabilize the fragile peace following a brutal two-year conflict that killed an estimated 600,000 people. Tadesse now faces the daunting task of rebuilding trust, disarming factions, and preparing the region for long overdue elections. Now, a mobile classroom called the Blobus is traveling across Benin to promote digital education. The private initiative brings screens into classrooms to help bridge the gap in access to technology. For many primary school students, computer literacy is still a luxury. Emmanuel Soji has the story.
This bus has been weaving its way throughout Benin on a mission to bridge the digital divide since 2022. Today, the Blow Bus is delivering its crew of educators and cargo of computers to Lowo Public School in Savalou.
Last year, Blobus came to our school to teach the children how to use a computer. So it's essential for them to return this year to build on that knowledge.
Organizers tried to make learning fun. In Porto Novo, children at Setugboje School used this access to tech to make their own cartoons using an app.
I introduced them to fun programming using the app Scratch. Almost the entire class had never touched a computer before, so we took it step by step to show them what a computer is and how they can access the application.
It's the first time I've turned on a computer, chosen drawings, and been able to write names.
Teachers also take part in the workshops and can digitally design their own lesson plans and create tailor-made learning material.
Today I realized that when I had ideas, thanks to digital tools, I can create my own objects to convey messages, and with that the students will better understand the concepts.
The Blow Bus helps open up new opportunities for students. At the Digital Training Lab in Cotonou, they can take their hands-on skills even further and, throughout the year, work on robotics and connectivity projects.
We can hopefully find future key players. I've already identified 5 among those I've trained.
In 2022, only 12 out of Benin's almost 12,000 public schools had multimedia kit in classrooms. So far, the Blow Bus has reached nearly a quarter of the country's municipalities. An impressive footprint, helping learners stride ahead in developing increasingly critical skills.
A wonderful initiative to conclude our edition of Eye on Africa. Thank you for watching. More news coming up.
On travaille en 3-8 du lundi au vendredi. On a également fait appel à volontariat pour travailler le samedi. Et on est en train de négocier nos accords d'entreprise pour pouvoir faire du 5-8 continu, 7 jours sur 7, 365 jours sur 365.
On est passé d'une production quasiment à l'arrêt en 2022 à l'année dernière, pas loin de 60 000 obus fabriqués. On a un vrai problème de main-d'œuvre. On a besoin de main-d'œuvre qualifiée, voire très qualifiée, dans des domaines qui ont été des domaines abandonnés en fait, par l'éducation nationale pendant des années.
À la reprise des forges Tarbes par Europlacement, il y avait 19 salariés. Aujourd'hui, on peut compter 80 emplois directs et on espère continuer à attirer les talents pour pouvoir étoffer notamment les fonctions support et garnir par-ci par-là des postes manquants.
The militia is breaking down. The enemy will be defeated.
Many have left. Those who stayed did so at the risk of their lives.
Staying at the hospital for 1, 2, 3 days, that's normal. Once I stayed for 12 days straight.
I don't know if I'll survive. May God seek justice.
Those who return do so either out of necessity.
I want to be a doctor. That's why, despite the war, despite the fighting, I came back to school.
Or as an act of faith.
We have a saying, as long as our souls are here, we can rebuild.
Watch Reporters Plus on France 24 and France24.com.